Okay, this video is going to illustrate just a little bit on how to protect your shoulder and also to engage your lat properly based on body position. So let's let Paul explain. Here we go.
So Michael, we can see underneath the water, you're tending to pull through with a very, very straight arm pull through, and it's very, very common for a lot of people to do. Most people don't realize just how much lift that's giving them at the front end of the stroke, but equally how much it then causes the legs to sink down at the back. So I'm going to show you now how effective it is to get into that bent elbow position, so you're actually pressing water behind you as opposed to pressing it down. And also the distribution of where that energy or the power comes from, whether it comes from the shoulder, the chest, or from the lats there. So Michael, pop this arm out in front of you. In fact, it was this arm that was the straightest, wasn't it? Okay. So let's lock the elbow out perfectly straight. I'm going to apply pressure here, and you're going to try and push down against me with a perfectly straight arm as hard as you can. Okay, try and push me down. Come on, really push. Okay. Now, I'm hardly having to resist Michael there. It's not because he's not strong. You can see he's actually a lot stronger than I am. Okay, but basically, when you're pulling through that straight arm, it's all coming from the shoulder. If we just change things a little bit and got you to bend your elbow here, now try and pull through. Good. It's a lot stronger there. And as we can see with Michael's chest here, the chest is actually coming into play. And also, around the back here, the lats are coming into play as well. So it's a more effective position to having the elbow bent underneath the water there. Now, both those two positions aren't quite right. What we need to do, Michael, is we need to actually just rotate your hips around here for me a little bit. So imagine you've actually stretched forward with this hand, middle finger straight forward in front of the same shoulder. As you're reaching forward to engage the catch, we're just tipping the fingertips down. We're just going to bend this elbow here, like we're reaching over a great big Swiss ball, or a barrel that you may have heard of people talking about. Now try and pull through. Good. It's a lot stronger, and we can really see these muscle groups activating here, and much softer on the shoulder there, indicating that that's where the power's coming from. Now, not only is Michael a lot more powerful in that position, pressing the water back behind him, he's also pressing water behind him, which is obviously sending himself forward in the water, as opposed to this straight arm pull through, which is ultimately just giving you a lift at the front end. How this also impacts on Michael's stroke, we can see that his stroke rate is actually relatively quite low. When we work up today on actually tuning up that catch and pull through and get you bending your elbow and pressing back, we'll find that one of the net results is that the stroke rate becomes a little bit higher, and consequently the speed of your stroke will actually start to just lift up a little bit within the pool. Okay, now just one final thing then. Let's go back to this straight arm pull through, square hips. I want you to imagine, if you can for me, that we've got an imaginary pressure gauge or strain gauge on the palm of my hand here. We're going to measure the amount of force that you can push down against me with that perfectly straight arm. Push down as hard as you can. Okay, now let's imagine that that's 10 Newton meters on the strain gauge. It doesn't really matter what the number is, but if we get Michael to come back into this position, into the correct position, with the fingertips tipping down, elbow nice and high, and now pulling through, I want you to just pull through here, Michael, at 10 Newton meters, the same as a straight arm pull through. Now that's at least 15. Believe it or not, it's still much more, basically. So there, you're probably equaling about the same thing. But the point here is that it's much easier for Michael to sustain that sort of level of power in the stroke, as opposed to actually really trying to force it. So when you're getting a good catch and pull through, we don't necessarily want to be really forcing it through the water. We've just got to really get into the right position, like we saw with the two elite swimmers, bending the elbow, pressing the water back behind you, and obviously then sending you forward in the water there. Just one final note on this.